Hello! As many of you know, my life is centered around Fnaf, and recently, while thinking of new video ideas, Fnaf 2 came to mind. I have heard people praise Fnaf 2 and refer to it as the best Fnaf game, however I have also heard some people say that it is one of the worst. In this video, I will look at the arguments that both sides make, and I will try to explain why some people think that it's bad and why others think it's amazing. I want to find out why opinions of this game are so mixed. So let's get started. Like and subscribe. Oh, by the way, I looked at a bunch of Reddit posts and YouTube videos in order to obtain info on what people think of the game. I think we should first look at the side that praises FNAF 2. The most common things I see people praise FNAF 2 for is the chaotic gameplay, the good character design, the lore, and the minigames. Let's look at each of these one by one. First up, the chaotic gameplay. If you've played or looked at typical FNAF 2 gameplay that's like on night 3 and onward, you'll notice that something is always happening. Like almost every time you pull your camera down, there is an animatronic in your office. There's just so many animatronics, and there's constant event banging, and that hallway noise, that iconic hallway noise. You seriously can't catch a break. You're constantly on the move. Well, figuratively, because all you do is sit still. The point is, the game is more chaotic because there's just something constantly happening. You constantly have to flash the light for Foxy, who appears like 24/7 and later nights. And you constantly have to keep the music box wound up. In FNAF 1 for example, you sometimes have moments where nothing much is happening, and you just sit there in order to save power. Now, this is subjective, because I get why you would like the more chaotic gameplay of FNAF 2, but I also get why someone would like the gameplay of FNAF 1, where you don't always have a million tasks on your to-do list. You have moments to breathe. What do you think? Do you like it when the gameplay is more chaotic? Honestly, I think I like FNAF 1 gameplay more because there's more strategy involved. What do you think? Do you like it when the gameplay is more chaotic? Tell me in the comments below. Well, now let us look at the character design. And holy shit is it really good. FNAF 2 contains some of my favorite designs in the entire franchise. I'm not surprised that most people really like the animatronics in this game. I do too. The toys look fine, nothing special. However, when we get to the Wizards, Mangle, and sure, let's include the puppet, these are really good. The Wizards are honestly terrifying and have cool designs. Bonnie missing his face and Chica's weird stretched out jaw that shows her endoskeleton mouth are the highlights. Mangle is also a really unique design, being just a mess of endoskeleton parts, but it works. The puppet, I'd argue, also has a really cool design with its long, lanky limbs. It looks creepy. I think the design of the puppet is not talked about all that much, but I think it's a cool design that accurately portrays the uncanny valley of certain dolls. These designs are creepy and good. They are also unique, which is definitely a plus. I get why a lot of people have Toilet Bonnie, I mean Withered Bonnie as their favorite, or Mangle, or Withered Foxy. A lot of great unique creepy designs came from this game, and a lot of people said that this was one of the reasons they think it's great. I'm also a fan of the character designs in this game. I'm curious to know, who is your favorite FNAF 2 animatronic? Tell me in the comments. The lore. FNAF 2 introduced a ton of lore. FNAF 1 basically had, yeah, there was this guy and he killed kids and the kids are robots now. But FNAF 2 really expanded on the lore by adding new elements such as Purple Guy, Fredbear's Family Diner, the puppet. Of course, we have the sequel versus prequel debate that was going on. Spoiler alert, it's a prequel. Shadow Freddy and Shadow Bonnie, just a bunch more stuff to the lore, giving the community more to work with. There were many different theories floating around, and yeah, the game just added a bunch of stuff to the lore, and that's why many people like it. Not much more to say. Another thing people like about FNAF 2 is the introduction of minigames. After you die, there's a chance that a minigame will play. These are very cryptic, and they are used to show off some lore. A lot of people liked these because it was a unique way to show off lore, a more direct way, and you can actually experience what happened instead of just reading it for a newspaper clipping. The minigames were expanded on in the later games. They got used more and more. They got better and better and more unique in the later games. And a lot of people really liked them in FNAF 2 because they were a nice fun way to show off some lore. Something unique, or at least at the time. Also, the Easter eggs. FNAF 2 introduced many Easter eggs, and though 2, JJ, Shadow Freddy, and Bonnie, Paper Pals, these were all very mysterious, and it introduced the idea of FNAF games just adding a bunch of random characters out of nowhere with no explanation, which honestly is hilarious. Just like the lore, I feel like many people like the mysterious Easter eggs. Okay, I have one more small point to touch on. Nostalgia. Believe it or not, this game is nearing its 10-year anniversary. And FNAF 2 is when FNAF got really popular, and many people look back on this time fondly. The simpler times, without the mimic, without a glitch trap. YouTubers like Dako, for example, started getting really popular around this time, and I feel like many people look back on the days of FNAF 2 in a positive way. I think that for some people, a small part of why they love FNAF 2 is the nostalgia. Okay, too much positivity in this video. So let's get to the other side. Many people dislike FNAF 2. The main reason I see is the repetitive gameplay. In FNAF 2, you wind the box, mask, light, box, mask, light, box, mask, light, box, mask, light, until you beat the night, or you just die. You just die in real life from doing the same thing over and over again, either dying from boredom or dying because you just couldn't keep up, or you know, until you beat the game. That yeah, you just keep doing the same thing over and over again. Let's look at FNAF 1. FNAF 1 has the power meter. This adds an element of strategy. You switch and adapt your strategies in FNAF 1 in order to try and conserve more power if you need it. Or if you have a lot of power, you can go really defensive to have a higher chance of surviving, but use more power. It's also worth pointing out that your power is quite limited in FNAF 1. This adds an interesting strategy to FNAF 1 that the player has to constantly think about. Now FNAF 2 does have the flashlight, and that has limited battery. However, the flashlight battery is a lot, and only flashing the light affects the battery. Not every defensive action you can take, so just flash occasionally to see if Foxy's there. If he is, flash a few more times to make him go away. It's not anywhere near as big of a problem as the power in FNAF 1. Also, the flashlight meter in FNAF 2 never makes you change your strategy. If you don't absolutely overuse your flashlight, you're gonna be fine. And I just feel like FNAF 2 should have had something to break the repetitive gameplay loop and had a more of a strategic element instead of doing the same thing over and over again. Another problem with the gameplay is the RNG. The RNG in this game is just brutal, especially in the 1020 mode. Thanks, Dick. A lot of the characters can catch you at a bad time, like Toy Bonnie just takes so long to get rid of. And that means you can't wind up the music box, and that resorts into more problems. Most FNAF games are at least a little RNG dependent, but in FNAF 2 you really have to get lucky to have a shot at winning the 1020 mode. And dying even though you did nothing wrong isn't very fun. Well, yes, FNAF 2 is very chaotic, it's also very RNG dependent, and I understand why people don't like that. Another issue with the gameplay of FNAF 2, so you know how FNAF games have these silly little things? Yeah, they're cameras. Most games try to give them a good use, you know, you can track your enemies to see when you need to defend yourself, or you can use the cameras to stun the animatronic, or seal a vent. Neat stuff, right? Well, in FNAF 2, you use the music box camera. You wind up the box, then you leave. But what about all these other cameras? You don't need them. Not only do you not need them, they don't really provide an advantage. There is no reason to use them other than if you just want to see some cool renders. Using them is basically impossible in the more difficult nights, where you will have to constantly be juggling between light, mask, and box, not leaving any time to look at the other cameras. This is really a shame because the cameras are such a core part of FNAF, and there is so much you can do with them, but unfortunately this game didn't make a good use of them. I wish the game used all, or at least most of the cameras. It honestly really sucks, because why have all of these if you are not going to use them? So many renders go completely unseen by players. Oh, by the way, quick plug, yeah, if you want to hear me talking about what I think would improve FNAF 2, just check out this video, alright? In conclusion, the gameplay is the biggest issue for the people that don't like FNAF 2. But people who like FNAF 2 praise it for its lore, character design, and chaotic gameplay. Which side is correct? Well, it's a subjective opinion, none of them are. However, I want you to give me your opinion on Fnaf 2. Do you like it for what it introduced to the Fnaf franchise, or do you dislike it for the RNG based repetitive gameplay? Personally, I hate the gameplay, but I really like the character design and what it introduced to the franchise. I'm curious, so tell me in the comments below. These were at least some of the reasons people like FNAF 2 and why they dislike it. I think it was really interesting to dive deep into people's thoughts. Okay, that sounds very weird and creepy, but I like hearing other people's opinions. So this video was really fun to make. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. This was GameSpeaking, and goodbye.